I guess in terms of this season, there's been frustration. So how big a summer do you think, to push on again, do you feel to kind of make strides and be?
I think we made big strides this season. Yeah, big time. Because we should be in a very different position with everything that happened. Yeah.
Tell me why.
Because there is no team in the Premier League history with 5 red cards and the amount of injuries that we had that are in the position that we are today. Hasn't been done.
No. And in that context, I mean, you were saying about your proudest moment.
One of the proudest, because this could have gone, yeah. And there is something that is held in it. And that foundation, that culture, and that mentality is what is holding that.
And so do we need to kind of keep that in that context, in your view? That basically in that context? Well, just generally the fan base, everyone.
I think everybody is individual to analyze things that you can give. It's like anything. You can give. You can see my kid crying and tell him to stop crying, or I can give context why he's crying. Because he's sad, because he banged his head against the furniture, or because he just wants the chocolate. So I have very different reaction. If you want to give no context to a situation, then don't give context. You have many examples in this Premier League this season, many clubs with certain context and where they are.
Do you reproach yourself with the injuries? You always analyse yourself, and don't you talk about that? And basically, with the injuries, does that come down to bad luck? Is that calling on to the same group of players? Where does it look?
It's a lot of factors. It's very difficult to put one, because Gabriel Jesus, what can we prevent to do that and have another knee injury like this? Tomiyasu, very different. With Ben White, very different. With the muscle injuries, tendon injuries, there are many more of the factors. I hope that there is one specialist that tell me it was this day, that situation. Unfortunately, it's tricky, but there are multiple factors, and load normally is one of the biggest.
Jordan?
Yeah.
Mikel, you say in another year that you could be out of Champions League and mid-table. Did you really believe that, given everything that's happened, that could have been Arsenal this season? That mid-table or not in the top 6, or because of what's happened?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it's hard to be proud when you know you haven't yet achieved what you want to achieve. But how much pride is there that you haven't?
But what is not achieved? I mean, what is that?
Well, you haven't.
I mean, that we are first and leading the thing, or everything is a disaster then? So what is it then?
Some fans think like that.
No, you're asking me the question, no?
Yeah.
Or you're asking me the question as a fan, because many other fans think something very, very different.
So you haven't achieved what you want to achieve in terms of winning the league?
That will happen at the end of the season. Let's see. We have to understand the circumstances that we had as well, and we are still where we are. But I'm not here to justify anything, guys. We are here to win, that's it, and to win the next game, and to win the previous 15, and the next 15, that's it, and to win the Champions League we can. That's the objective, that's clear.
Sam? Sorry.
Keep going, go. Let him do it.
I'm just on Ben White, there is talk of him maybe getting an England call-up.
Yeah.
The last time he pulled out the squad seemed to see quite a lot of criticism from fans, and are you worried that if he is then called up again, that all this will then resurface and be bad for him mentally?
I don't know. Well, that's a conversation that him and Thomas have to have, and whatever they decide, obviously, I think it will come in great terms, and it will make sense, and it will be the right decision.
Sam?
Hi.
In the last couple of seasons, one of the things that's really been a defining factor, I think, of Arsenal is that intensity of the crowd and everyone knowing that every single game matters. And in those types of races, the last 2 years, it's all wicked on the line all the time. I think a lot of people in the fans perhaps might now worry that, given the gap and the length of time left of the season, that intensity, that competitive must win this game feeling might just kind of fade away and become a bit.
If that's the case, we have to give them the reasons with our performances to think different and change that way of thinking or feeling.
And for the players as well, is that not a risk for them? They've been so close for so long, every single game matters. Now they must look at the table and think,
they know that the table looked very different a few days ago, and how it can look in 2 or 3 weeks. So you cannot get carried away with that.
And just on Saliba's contracts, 2 years ago, are you aware of the club starting any negotiations with them?
I'm sure we are very aware of the contractual situation of every player, so they will be dealing with those kind of matters.
You don't know if talks have started or not?
No, yes and no. I don't know.
Ed?
Hi.
Just wondering if you've spoken to Myles Lewis Skelly about the red card at the weekend and how he's reacting to it. Must be a disappointing moment for him.
Yeah, obviously it was a very disappointing moment because it's the moment that we're grabbing some momentum in the match and obviously put the game in a very difficult situation with half an hour to go.
In terms of wider discipline of the team, I know there are individual moments in the season, you can't pick them out, but 5 red cards, 2 more than any other team. You said before, it really has held you back this season. Is that something that you're going to talk to players about, or do you think that it's something they need to individually work out themselves?
Yeah, there are things that in certain red cards that we had, we could have done things differently, even though now the rules appear to change again and not consider what it was considered before. In other aspects, it's very difficult to change because when you ask the player why they made that decision, it's a very spontaneous decision, very sharp movement, a decision making that caused you the action. Very difficult to change that.
Okay, last couple. Firstly, Sam.
Hi.
With the team, with a few months left of the season, do you sometimes scratch your head and think where a goal's going to come from? Because obviously against West Ham it was, I think, 2 shots on target. West Ham had 2 shots on target themselves. I know there's injuries obviously are a major factor for this, but it's not, looking ahead, isn't it a massive problem you've got here in terms of goals?
If you take the isolation of the last game, the answer is 20 shots, 21 shots, 2 on target. If you take the last 15 against the best team in the Premier League with the most threat on the goal difference is the same. So depending when you look at it. But we have what we have and we are where we are. And always you have to have the intention and the ambition to change it and evolve it, understanding what players are capable of doing that and what you can demand to them.
Does it worry you though?
The other day worried me because I didn't see the threat that and the situation that we have to put West Ham under pressure to really have the feeling that any moment we can score a goal, not just one particular moment, but consistently any moment that we have that threat.
And obviously on the weekend, looking at the bench, there's about 5 full-backs on the bench. What's that like as a manager to look at the bench where you wanted to change things and see there's 5 full-backs and not many striking options?
I think you have to think in a different way. You know how you can change things, and especially when the context of the match is demanding you to score goals, very different to if you have to hold to a result. More complicated, but finding the resources to achieve that.
And finally, Gary.
We've asked you in the past about how you describe the summer ahead, and you've been quite strong in certain ways. How would you describe what you need to do this summer?
I think it's a bit too early to talk about the summer. I'm sorry.
Okay. And we go back to Sam's point about the contracts. Obviously, you know the situation. Would you, in the past, the club's position has been now not to let the players go into the final 2 years of the contract, but ideally not. What would your view be this summer? Would you allow players to go into that sort of period where the clock is ticking?
Well, I think those communications, those decisions are made over time. So we understand when we have to act. Players and agents are very fully aware of what the intentions of the club are, and in the right moment we have these discussions.
And just go back to the Myles one. I mean, if England, obviously sounds like Tuchel was calling lots of players. If he were to call Myles about England and the left back position, would you be in favour of that?
Well, they are entitled to do that, and it will be an incredible thing for the player.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.